Michael Rubin is the king of the cucks, isn't he? Take a look at this guy. Philly's finest, Michael Rubin and Joel Embiid. Welcome to the Shonee Jackson Show. This is episode number 5, I believe. Maybe number 6. I'm not sure. Anyhow, plenty to talk about today. Super excited. Thanks for joining me. If you like the show, if you like my content, what I'm doing, want to see how this progresses, please like and subscribe to the YouTube page and follow me on all the socials. Man, the summer kind of sucks, doesn't it? Like, the older you get, it's the most overrated time of the year, especially as a sports fan. We don't have anything going on other than this weird white party and other summertime drama topics to talk about, but we're going to hit on all of them today. Going to talk about CeeDee Lamb's contract extension, of course, time to pay the man, and what could the Cowboys really be doing behind all this, right? Is it organizational incompetence, or is there a greater plan behind this that the Joneses are working on? And overall, the organization, right? Going to talk about that. Bronny James, just sports news. Kyle Filipowski, weird ass situation, and his girlfriend grooming him. A little bit of that. A little bit of Dak Prescott. Cam Newton made some comments the other day on his podcast that, believe it or not, I agree with everything he said. And so, want to get into that as a little bit more in my idea on Dak Prescott. But let's start with this weird-ass white party, right? What a weird time to be alive. And is Michael Rubin just the biggest asshole walking the planet? I mean, when you talk about limp dick, clout chasing dorks, he's at the top of the list. And I don't care. He's worth like $11 billion. I don't care if he's worth $11 trillion. There's nothing that can make a lame unlame. There's never an amount of money that can do that. And, like the summer, you grow up, you look forward to it, you get off time. That's why you like it. As you turn into an adult, it's just fucking hot, miserable. You still got responsibilities, still got to pay your bills, still got to go to work. And this is all we have to talk about, this colonizing weird ass party that goes on. And I can't really imagine, like, it's obviously like centered around this elitist stuff, like the elite musicians, the elite actors and actresses, and then you get athletes. Like, why the fuck was Damar Hamlin there? That doesn't make any sense to me. And you know what? Like, I'm glad the guy's alive, but how did, that's why this entire situation where you have, like, your conspiracy theorists of the world calling him, like, fake and a lizard person, that's why this shit happens. So Damar Hamlin's not famous. He just died on the field and got revived. Like, I don't understand why Damar Hamlin's there. And then you get Jason Tatum's goofy ass with the trophy. Like, it's just a dork fest. And Drake looks like absolute dog shit. I mean, I know this isn't good podcasting. I'll put the, for a sports show, I'm going to have the timestamps in if you're not interested in this. But take a look at this picture. Jesus Christ. Back, what they do? Drake looks like hammered shit. This is the only time in the last 15 years in the world where it's, like, not cool to have Drake at your party. I mean, Drake looks like he's 67 years old in that photo. With Robert Kraft. You got Robert Kraft and Drake together, 2024. Interesting. And this freaking guy, Michael Rubin, king of the cucks. King of the cucks. If you look up the definition of cuck in the dictionary, Michael Rubin's picture is going to be right there. This freaking dork, dude. Just absolute shitbag. Philly guy, of course, right? Philly's finest. Joel Embiid, Michael Rubin. That's Philly in a picture for you right there. No Diddy, right? What a joke. But let's get into the Shonee Jackson Show. Let's talk about sports. Bronny James, congrats to him. Congrats to his dad on everything they're doing. You know what? If anything, this situation, I've always been anti-LeBron and a LeBron James troll, if you will. But if anything, this is making me more of a LeBron James fan. What I want to get into is just how much of a joke the Lakers franchise is, right? And we want to talk about entitlement and like you talk about big corporate America, businesses being passed down. That's kind of the argument being used with every LeBron fan to defend what's going on with Bronny James. You don't have to defend anything. Bronny James bullies the Lakers. LeBron James bullies the Lakers, bullies the NBA. He gets whatever he wants. He got his son drafted by the team that he plays on, forced his way onto that. LeBron James was the 55th pick in the NBA draft, and he just signed a 4-year, $7.9 million contract with the Lakers. $560,000 signing bonus. For reference, last year's 55th overall pick in the NBA draft was Isaiah Wong out of Miami. Isaiah Wong was the ACC Player of the Year a year ago, had a great 4-year college career. He ended up getting like a $500,000 contract, like a 2-day, $500,000 contract, I believe, is what he received as the 55th overall pick in the NBA draft. LeBron James received a 4-year, $7.9 million contract. Right. Last year's Isaiah Wong signed a 2-way contract worth $560,000. That is absolutely outrageous. Outrageous. This has never existed in sports, and it's fine. Like, I don't give a shit, but like, this isn't existing with any athlete and their child ever. Start naming the list of athletes that have had children that haven't played in the NBA or the NFL or wherever it was that they played. And the reason I say that is because Bronny James Jr., like, seems like a good kid. Seems like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree as far as like just being a flat out blunt liar, pathological liar, and just going with it, living with it, no matter how obvious it is you're lying. Like, they asked him a question. He's just like his dad. And you know what? At this point, respect for the ability to just lie to a motherfucker's face and not give a shit that they know you're lying. They asked him like what it was like thinking about playing with his father, and he literally said that I've never thought about playing with my dad. Dude, give it a fucking rest. All right, your agent called every team in the league and said, "Don't draft him. If you guys draft him, we're taking him to Australia. He's gonna play for the Lakers." It's physically it's impossible to say you didn't think about playing with your dad. You know what I mean? Like, he has an old quote of like, "I don't want to wear my dad's number because I don't want people to know who I am." Dude, your name is Bronny James. Your name is LeBron James Jr. People know who the fuck you are. Can we stop the like whatever this Disney Channel bullshit that the LeBron James family tries to like create? It's not that. It's cool. It's chill. Your dad is the second or third best basketball player of all time. He's the most influential athlete in American sports. He controls the league that he plays in. Congratulations. You pulled that off. Everything that you attempted to do when you came into the league, you have pretty much done. And especially when it comes to player power and all that stuff, when LeBron James got on that train, whatever it was, 10, 15 years ago, midway through his early part of his career. Right? Congrats. You've pulled that off. Clutch Sports, all the shit. Rich Paul, you guys do what you want. You push your weight around. You get what you want, how you want it. You create the media narratives. They listen to you. They report things how you want to say it. It's cool. Let's not pretend it's anything else. That's where you get in these wars with the LeBron James cultic fan base, LeBron James trolls, and then even whoever's in the middle and just a natural sports fan. But on the other hand of it, it's kind of fucking hilarious. Like LeBron James saying that his favorite movie is The Godfather, a 3-hour movie, and he can't give you a single quote or scene from the movie, right? Or when he walks into a place with a book in his hand because he knows cameras are going to be around and he's clearly never opened the book or read anything about it. It's just LeBron. It's just the James family way, and it's cool. I'm cool with it. But if you're a Lakers fan and you're a genuine fan of that franchise that's supposed to be a storied franchise in American sports, especially in the NBA, 17 NBA championships, only behind the Boston Celtics with 18. Supposed to be just, one of the blue blood franchises, if you will, in American sports. And LeBron James has just turned it into an absolute clown show. What a joke, dude. And I got Lakers fans that, I don't understand how their house isn't burning down. Lakers fans as friends that I don't understand how their house isn't burning down. If the Dallas Cowboys operated this way, if Dak Prescott or any player that has come along before or in the future walked in, say Arch Manning got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, and Arch Manning and the Manning family started moving their weight around, I would have a fucking meltdown, dude. And every single Cowboys fan would, and the national media would. The Lakers get treated with kid gloves, and it's bullshit. You know what I mean? The media treats the Lakers like they're on fucking life support, dude. And they really are, in reality. But just with absolute kid gloves compared to other franchises in that standing, if they were operating this way. I understand the Knicks haven't won a championship in most of our lifetimes. But if they operate like this, you're getting completely bashed every single day you turn the TV on. If the Celtics were operating like this, they would get bashed every single time you turn the TV on. The Yankees, if the Cowboys, if whoever, throw any historical franchise in there. Nobody's allowed to operate like this but the Los Angeles Lakers because the LeBron James narrative. And it is what it is. That's the NBA. The NBA's soft. It's a joke. It's more of a soap opera, and I enjoy it. I enjoy a good male soap opera that the NBA is. You know what I mean? But that's crazy. $7.9 million over 4 years. What if LeBron James blows his Achilles? I mean, he's an old guy. The steroids got to give out eventually. What if he blows his Achilles and then you're stuck with Bronny James Jr. for 4 years? What did he have? 4 points in the, he had 2 transition layups in his first summer league game, and then he was hurt for the next game or set out the next game. That's another thing. They set him out for, precautionary reasons. What the fuck are you being precautionary about? Bronny James ain't getting minutes this year other than to get some cool clips for Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, Bronny James has no impact, zero, less than zero impact on the Lakers' pursuit of whatever they want to accomplish as a team this year. This is just a sideshow, and it's fine, but it's a sideshow. So he needs reps more than anybody on that in the entire roster needs reps. He needs reps arguably more than anybody that's in the summer league needs reps. There's a lot of guys that are better at basketball that are not going to make teams this year. Bronny James will be on the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's not fucking kid ourselves, right? So as a Lakers fan, you need to ask yourself, how serious are you about the Lakers, or are you just a LeBron fan? Is it just like a spell? You know what I mean? Because going back to the lying, let's just recap what LeBron did last year. All last year, you get the passive-aggressive subtweets, retweets, interviews where he hints at not staying with the Lakers beyond this season. He had the ability to test free agency. He becomes a free agent. Rich Paul said he's a free agent. He starts a podcast and interviews his buddy JJ Redick for 3 years, right? For 3 months. The podcast was 3 months on JJ Redick's basketball philosophies and what he would do in critical situations as a basketball coach, and even what he would do with LeBron James on his team as a basketball coach, right? Like, LeBron James comes out and says he has nothing to do with the Lakers hiring of a coach, which is cockamamie. You are the face of the franchise. They just drafted your fucking son, and they hired the guy that you interviewed on for 3 months about his basketball philosophies, but you said nothing and have nothing to do with their decision-making on coaching, right? And he had nothing to do with your son, who averaged 4 points a game for a bad USC team in a bad conference, getting drafted and paid $7.9 million. He got a handout, and handouts are fine. They happen to everybody around the country. I get it. Plenty of people have had handouts, but let's not kid ourselves. The ACC Player of the Year a year ago, Isaiah Wong, who went to the Final Four with Miami, got a $559,000 two-way contract with a cap hit of $0. Right? Bronny James got a 4-year, $7.9 million deal. Stop the whole, and Bronny too, any advice, not that you're ever going to fucking see this or give a shit, right? But like, really, if anybody is his friend, if anybody's truly a fan of his, let's not be a pathological liar like your dad, because at the end of the day, you're never going to be close to as good as your dad, and it's just, the public humility is on its way, right? There's no way around that. And what the fuck's the deal with that Kyle Filipowski thing? Like, how weird of a situation is that? And should this chick be in jail right now? She groomed him, right? Kyle Filipowski is engaged to his, I guess, lifelong or childhood babysitter, who was a Mormon. Important to add that in there, because there's a history of Mormons grooming young people to be their husband or wife, and that's a clear situation here. Her name is, Caitlin Hutchinson. And she was his babysitter. Kyle Filipowski, obviously, with like basketball players, by the time they're in the 8th or 9th grade, if they're going to play in the NBA when they're like Kyle Filipowski's side, because 99% of that's genetics, right? So he's this huge, good basketball player that was getting recruited nationwide. She understood that, clearly groomed him, and now they're engaged, and he's estranged from his family. His mother's come out, his brother's come out, been like, fuck this chick. She completely took advantage of him. Now he doesn't talk to us. He hates everybody. It's the reason he fell so far in the draft. He was one of the best players in the country at Duke. And then like classic Duke being like, yeah, we knew all about this. How did y'all not know about this? Oh, I don't know. Maybe you kept it under wraps because you're Duke and you didn't want everybody coming out fucking bashing Duke like we always do. But it's just weird situation. And I just want to say, like, I'm not trying to turn this into a sexist situation, but if this was flipped and it was a guy that babysat a girl, which I don't think really happens, but just say it was. Say there was a guy that was a nanny and this was flipped and he was groomed like that, dude would be in fucking jail. Like, she should not be. This should be over. Everybody, the authorities should step in this situation. What a sick fucking situation that is. But this is the summertime, right? This is what we talk about in the summertime. And did you guys see the Saquon Barkley clip from, I don't know if the Hard Knocks episode 1 has happened yet, but there's a clip that went viral last week during the 4th of July where the Giants GM and staff was in the office kind of talking about what they were going to go forward with, moving forward with Saquon Barkley, understanding that they owed him like $12.5 million. I'll play the clip for you, but basically was the breakdown of them deciding they're going to move on from Saquon Barkley or at least let him hit the market and their reasoning why. Let me play the clip and I'll give you my thoughts.
Franchising and trading him, I don't think is realistic.
Are we positive that nobody's gonna pay him that kind of money? Like, there's nobody in the draft. There's no free agents, receivers that are they're either gonna be going back to their team at $20 million.
I mean, who would you say would go sign a running back to that dollar amount?
A team that's, anyone that has money to spend.
There's a lot of running backs in free agency.
Yeah, but are any potential difference makers really? Like after you watch this film?
Even if Saquon's number one on your board, do you imagine anyone's going to have such a gap between Saquon and
this fucking guy right here?
Potential difference makers, really?
I mean, this guy is the epitome. Sorry. This guy right here, this little just limp dick softy right here, this is the epitome of why the Giants have been ass for like 7 years or whatever it's been. This soft ass, what are you going to do?
Potential difference makers, really? Like after you watch this film?
Do any potential difference
even
makers?
if Saquon's number one on your board, do you imagine anyone's going to have such a gap between Saquon and Jacobs, Pollard, Henry, whoever else, that they're going to want him at $12 million a year or minus whatever we're willing to eat and send a draft pick?
Right, and then if we did, what would somebody realistically give up?
I just think all the teams that need a running back are going to look at Saquon. Do you feel good about eating $3 to $4 million for a fifth-round pick? Like, I wouldn't.
I don't know. I'm not. There's no guarantee we can trade him. So
So I really agree with the general manager there, right? The little guy, where are we going to find our offense? Well, let's talk about your offense last year. Saquon Barkley in particular played 14 games. He's never going to play a full season. He never has, I don't think, and he never will. He's often injured. There was multiple clips that came out of this process. The GM had also mentioned that, like he's a 27-year-old running back. Can't be paying a 27-year-old running back $12 million a year when we have all these holes along the offensive line and shit like that. He played 14 games, 247 carries, 962 yards, right? Like, that is not anything to write home about. 3.9 yards per carry. Nothing to write home about. 36-yard long and 6 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley is not a world beater. Sorry. He is not a world beater. Saquon Barkley, you know what, in my opinion, is the most overrated, overhyped running back in the last decade. He was so explosive and exciting to watch at Penn State that's what it comes down to. But we're not in the Big Ten anymore. It's not 2017 or whenever the fuck that was, right? Like, in the league, he has been often injured. The Giants have never been nothing, and y'all sucked. Where are we going to find these touchdowns? Where are we going to find this? Don't let anybody fool you. Saquon Barkley didn't get cut or let go of because of Daniel Jones. And I don't think Daniel Jones is good. And I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Fuck the Giants. I hope that those people that were in that room are in charge forever. But, like, it's not because of Daniel Jones. It's because Saquon Barkley was overpaid. He did not earn the contract that he was given. And he had not been playing at a level that suggests you should continue to pay him $12 million a year when you're a bad football team. You know what? It seems like the national narrative for the last 10, 15 years, especially recently, was that running backs, you got to spit out, chew them up and spit them out. They're good for 4 to 5 years, and then you got to replace them with youth. You know what? You don't want a running back with tread on the tires. It's not a position of value anymore. These guys aren't breaking the bank in free agency. Kids are playing receiver instead. They're playing defense instead. Nowadays, when you go look at the little leagues, Pop Warner, whatever it is now, travel teams, the running back position has lost its entire value, but then Saquon Barkley, who's already overhyped, becomes a free agent, goes and signs with the team of Twitter and social media and the team of NFL Network, if you will, with every fucking media member that works for him has had a past in Philadelphia. So you just get constant eagle creaming, which I've already talked about on other podcasts. You add Saquon Barkley, who's already overhyped, and now all of a sudden that's such a great signing? No, it's not. The Eagles turned around and essentially gave that guy, with these guys in the room, what I think most teams around the league thought nobody else was willing to do, which is why they cut him. They're sitting there and they're talking about it, and they're like, who's going to give us a fifth-round pick for a 27-year-old running back that's hurt all the time? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, yeah, he was productive. Maybe he was the most productive offensive player we had on the team. We didn't have any good offensive players. Bringing in rookies like Malik Neighbors and others, you got to rebuild in New York. You're looking up. You're punching up right now. And paying an old running back isn't going to help you, especially a guy that doesn't stay on the field. Nobody's scared of the Eagles and Saquon Barkley. I don't give a shit what, you know, Philly sports fan 69 says on Twitter, and all the sports rants you see, and all the Eagles creamers around the league that want the Eagles to be so good and blatantly ignore the meltdown that happened a year ago that led them to not only fire a coordinator, but then hire another coordinator that just got fired, changing the offense 100%, because that always works out. Like, we've seen that before. You've had the same quarterback for the last 2-3 years, right? Starting as far as like being solidified QB1, Jalen Hurts, you could say 2-3 years he's been the solidified guy there in Philadelphia, right? You ran the same system with him all along. There's really been only one system that he's ever been able to have at least some success in. And now you're changing the whole thing. We've seen Kellen Moore make quarterbacks worse. Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert have had their worst years as a quarterback under Kellen Moore. He got fired with both guys. You could say he resigned in Dallas. He didn't resign. Mike McCarthy took the play calling rights from him, and he went somewhere where they let him call the plays. Got fired by week 5. Right? So this Saquon Barkley bullshit, everybody's blowing it up because it's all player friendly now, and I get it, whatever. I'm an organizational guy. I said that. I'm about the Cowboys. Shonee Jackson Show is about getting Lombardi number 6 to the Dallas Cowboys. That's what it's about. So I'm not player guy. I'm 27 years old. A lot of these guys are younger than me now. Like, I'm not going to freak out over any player in any sport. This, as an organization, this general manager's job is to turn around the Giants or he's going to get fucking fired, right? And he's looking at his team more than anybody looks at the roster, looks at the numbers, looks at the contracts, the future of how they want to build, who they want to build around. I understand they said that it's kind of Daniel Jones' last chance. I understand, including myself. Most people don't think Daniel Jones is going to be shit. But at the same time, he's had no weapons. Saquon Barkley's been overpaid. They've had a bad offensive line his entire career, right? It's time to cut your losses. Saquon was a loss. It was a bad draft pick. It was bad to extend him to begin with. They've gotten nothing out of that. He's going to a division rival, so it made noise. Philly makes noise. Nick Sirianni's goofy ass was like, we got your best player. Not a day in the life of being a New York Giant has Saquon Barkley ever been their best player, right? Nobody thinks that. They sure as hell didn't think that. By the way, they cut him. He didn't just walk over and take Saquon Barkley. Saquon didn't become a free agent. His contract didn't end. They let him go. They let him test the market, right? Like, they did not want him. They let him walk. Could have franchise tagged him. They said that. We're not going to do the franchise tag thing. We're not going to drag you along. We're not going to screw you around. Last year, they signed him to a 1-year deal. Sorry, I said they cut him. Technically, they didn't cut him. They let him walk. Could have kept him. Like he said, I want to stay. Could have kept him. Could have franchise tagged him. Could have handicapped his situation. But they didn't. They let him test the market. And there was one team that was willing to pay that $40 million deal that they gave him. It was the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to wait and see. But that, like, everybody that's freaking out, Saquon Barkley, there's more than one team in the league that was going to let Saquon Barkley walk. There's a lot of teams that had no interest in signing Saquon Barkley. Derrick Henry was a free agent. Baltimore chose him, not Saquon. Not saying, Saquon wasn't going to Philly anyways. Maybe he would have. But they act like that was some illogical conversation, whatever. The Giants got to make change. And let me tell you something. 962 yards and 6 touchdowns wasn't enough last year. Wasn't enough to make a dent in the season. I understand. Had a lot of quarterback issues, injury issues. Wouldn't have mattered. Y'all suck. The Giants suck. The Cowboys been slapping y'all around for years and going to continue to. And that's why. It's those type of guys running the organization. Cam Newton also made some comments, like I said earlier in the podcast, that I really agree with, right? I think he made some good points, and I'm going to explain it after I play it for you. Here you go.
One reveal.
If you got the same stat line as Patrick Mahomes, something is clicking in big games.
Somewhere.
Because I'm looking at this list too. The top 10 goes as follows. Okay.
Damn. It's only one of them that have a Super Bowl.
It's only one guy that has a Super Bowl, and there's a lot of guys on here that doesn't have a lot of playoff success.
Yeah.
So if you're going to sit up here and judge Dak Prescott on playoff success, and I'm looking at a list of guys that don't even have no playoff experience or not even a playoff win.
Come on.
Come on. I would prefer Dak Prescott over Kirk Cousins. I prefer Dak over Kyler Murray. I prefer Dak over Jalen Hurts. Justin Herbert, Dak. Trevor Lawrence, I'm taking Dak.
Yeah.
So it ain't that what I think Dak to be. It's what the market dictates.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I think on my first few episodes, I've talked a lot, been very open about everything, especially if you follow me on the socials, that I do not want to pay Dak Prescott. I don't want to pay him $60 million. It's not that I don't want to pay him. It's not that I don't like him. When I say I don't want to pay Dak Prescott, I want to make it very, very clear that it's not always just directed towards Dak Prescott, not thinking he's good enough, what have you. I wouldn't pay most of the guys that Cam Newton talked about either. And I agree with him on who I would pay Dak over, this, that, and the other. I think that there's a philosophy to winning a Super Bowl that I am grounded to at this point in time that I think is clear and obvious that everybody should realize. And I don't think that oftentimes paying your quarterback that's not as good as the best or the second best guy, that type of money, top market value, or whatever the market dictates, puts you in position to truly go chase Super Bowls year in, year out. I think you either got the way the current QB structure and salary cap is. There has been rumors of a potential QB salary cap. I don't know the legitimacy of that. I hope it's very true, because the way it currently is, it is designed for the very best quarterback in the world to win the majority of the Super Bowls and constantly be competing in them. I think it is important to remind you that 7 of the last 10 Super Bowl champions are Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady. Okay? So let's go back and pull up the top 10 highest paid guys. You got Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence at the top. I wouldn't have given Trevor Lawrence that. I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars think that he has the ceiling to be the best quarterback in the world. Do I think he ever will be? No, I don't. But they paid him that because they think that, and I would never want to operate the way the Jacksonville Jaguars do. Okay? So when I say I don't want to pay Dak, make it very clear that it's an overall philosophy on quarterbacks that I think you either got the best guy or you got a guy on a rookie deal and your team is flat out loaded. All right? I would not have, I would have paid Joe Burrow. I would pay Lamar Jackson. Jared Goff, I get it. Do I think they'll win a Super Bowl? Probably not, but I get it. Jared Goff has been there before. He's been to multiple conference championships, and he's got the Lions to a place that they've never been at, right? So I get it. I don't know that I would commit that money to him. Justin Herbert, no, I agree. Hasn't done enough. But again, a franchise that thinks a guy has the ceiling to be the best in the world. Lamar, I would. I said that. Hurts, absolutely the fuck not. That's in your division, bro. You got a guy that you see, time's going to tell. This year will answer all. I've put my legacy on the line. The Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni thing's not going to work out. And quite frankly, Jalen Hurts in Philly as a long-term franchise quarterback is not going to work out. The meltdown happened for a reason, and he's a major, major part of that. A major reason of that. There's no reason you should have A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, the weapons you got in Philly, the offensive line you had riddled with fucking future Hall of Famers, and struggled that bad for that long of a stretch. All right, let's not make this more difficult than it needs to be. Jalen Hurts is what he is. We know what he is. Kyler Murray, no, he's a midget. Deshaun Watson, worst contract in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes at 9th, highest paid quarterback in the league. Think about that. And now it's important to know that overall total contract value, Patrick Mahomes is number 1 at $450 million. $200 million clear of number 2 in Joe Burrow at $275 million. Damn near $200 million clear of the next guy. And he deserves to have the most value in his contract. But what a hell of a contract they worked out. And you could sit here and talk about, well, that's what happens when you pay a guy early. You get the much better deal. The Cowboys were not that confident in Dak Prescott like the Chiefs were in Patrick Mahomes, who had gone to an AFC championship and then won a Super Bowl in his second year as a starter. All right? It's a lot easier to make that contract and get the deal done that they got done when the guy's winning fucking MVPs and Super Bowls, and you had a guy that was struggling, was off and on early in his career. I had a lot of stuff pulled out that I had to X out of. I had a little internet issue a second ago, so let me pull up Dak Prescott's 2018 game log, because the next thing I want to get into after this is CeeDee Lamb. But, point of that is the Dak Prescott situation and me not wanting to pay him is like, you got to understand. Like I said, the last 10 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, it's Mahomes, Stafford, Brady, Mahomes, Brady, Nick Foles falls into that other category I was talking about. Brady, Manning, Brady, Russell Wilson. Those are your Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. The guys they played, I don't have the list pulled up, but off the top of my head, you got Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts. Those two guys were on rookie contracts. Jalen Hurts was on a rookie second-round draft pick contract. Brock Purdy's making like $800,000 a year in San Francisco right now. Falls into that mold of how you make it if you don't have the Mahomes or MVP-level quarterback. Stafford, future Hall of Fame quarterback, right? They played the Bengals with a rookie contract in Joe Burrow. Burrow's still on his rookie deal in Cincinnati. He goes on that hot-ass run at the end of the season. I don't think Cincinnati was as loaded. Joe Burrow got really, really hot. As I mentioned earlier, Joe has that ceiling of being the best in the world. Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 overall pick. Plays at an MVP level when he's healthy. When he gets hot, very, very hard to beat. Joe Cool, which I'm tired of hearing about, right? How fucking cool Joe Burrow is. Like, Joe Burrow is so cool. Yeah, I get it. Cool guy. He's got the fucking hair thing, the veneers. He's ice in his veins as a player, but give it up. Get off the guy's fucking cock, huh? Tom Brady. Who did he play in that Super Bowl? He played Patrick Mahomes. 2020. Patrick Mahomes played the Niners, who had Jimmy Garoppolo on a moderately modest deal, right? Not highest paid guy in the league, not one of the highest paid guys in the league. Jimmy Garoppolo deal. Brady and the Patriots, they beat the Rams. That was before Jared Goff was like in line to be the highest paid player in the world the way Mahomes is right now, or the way he was in line to make a record-breaking contract in LA. The way that Super Bowl went down, the way he disappointed McVay changed everything. But again, you go through this list, it's either the best quarterback in the world who gets paid a lot, and Brady was always on team-friendly contracts, to remind you. But Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, or like Matthew Stafford, whoever's on an MVP level that season, even going back to the Matt Ryan year, he was the MVP of that season. Or it's your Russell Wilsons, Nick Foles, whoever else that are not on high-paid deals, and their teams are loaded. Their defenses are elite. The Legion of Boom in Seattle. That Tampa defense with Brady was very, very good. The Rams defense that lost to Brady was fucking elite. Right? Just loaded roster, elite running games, no holes on the team. So when I say I don't want to pay Dak Prescott, you got to be able to separate the fact of saying, oh, that must mean he's an idiot that thinks Dak Prescott isn't good. Or, there's like a line in the sand constantly with Dallas Cowboys fans or media members. You're either on the Dak Prescott, make him the highest paid player of all time, break records. He was the runner-up of the MVP. Yeah, the MVP runner-up that lost in a wild card game to a young quarterback within the division at Green Bay. I mean, not within the division, within the conference in Green Bay. You got too many young quarterbacks with a higher ceiling than Dak Prescott that make less money than Dak Prescott. They probably soon will be making more. But, that's why. I'm not paying a lot of these other guys either. Like I said, I'm not paying Lawrence. I'm not paying Goff. I'm not paying Jalen Hurts. I'm not paying Kyler Murray. I'm not paying Deshaun Watson. I'm not paying Kirk Cousins. And like Cam Newton said, those guys don't got a lot of playoff success either. I agree. That's what it's about. Keep the main thing the main thing. We haven't sniffed a Super Bowl in my life. I want a Super Bowl, and I can look and study these things and look and see there is a clear recipe that increases your odds of getting the Super Bowls. Now, big reason I like Mike McCarthy, a reason I like Dak Prescott is we really have dominated our division. Dak has dominated the division. So another way to increase your odds on winning the Super Bowl is getting there every fucking year, getting into the dance, getting to the playoffs. You get into the playoffs every single year, then, you're going to have a fantastic chance of winning a Super Bowl. You're going to get a chance like the Eagles had a few years ago when they had the easiest route I've ever seen in my life, where they played the shitty Giants and then the Brock Purdy injury on the third play of the game, where the Niners literally didn't have a quarterback. They had already had multiple injuries, which is why Brock Purdy was starting. He gets hurt the third play of the game. They just had to play the entire game without a fucking quarterback, without a passing game. So there was no chance. It was a wash. Let me pull up Dak Prescott's playoff stats real quick. There's something I want to get into. Dak Prescott a year ago against playoff qualifying teams and then non-playoff teams. This is the last reason that I need to point out of why I am against paying Dak Prescott $60 million a year. And then I want to get into CeeDee Lamb because it's a branch off of this. And how something has kind of existed. This thing that I'm bringing up has existed his entire career, to tell you the truth, right? So let me just bring up last year. Last year, Dak Prescott's record versus non-playoff teams and stats. So let's start with that. Versus non-playoff teams, Dak Prescott goes 9-1 with a 72.9% completion percentage, 7.9 yards per attempt. Adjusted yards per attempt is 9.1. I don't really know what that means. 19 touchdowns to 1 interception. 0.3% interception rate. Percentage, I mean. Right? So Dak Prescott dominates the mediocre to below average teams in the league. And he's been doing that. And our team overwhelms those teams. We have a loaded roster. I understand. I think we'll consistently make the playoffs because he's going to be able to dominate all the non-playoff teams that you play on your schedule every single year and dominate the teams at the bottom of the division, right? Here's his record against playoff teams last year. 3-5, right? We beat Philly, we beat Detroit, and who the fuck else did we beat? I don't really remember. Let me see. Chargers. Who made the playoffs? Giants, Panthers, Seattle. We beat Philly, Detroit. Did Seattle make the playoffs? I don't know. He's 3-5. Let's get back to it. He was 3-5, 66.2% completion percentage, so that's down. 7.4 yards per attempt, that's down. 17 touchdowns, that's down. Interceptions, 8, way up. So 1 interception versus non-playoff teams, 8 versus playoff teams. He is drowning when he plays playoff teams, right? Let's pull up his game log from a year ago so I can just talk about those games. Dak Prescott, 2023 game log. I talked about this in the last episode, so I won't harp on it too long. Playoff teams, Green Bay, drowning, lost, 48-32. We all know what happened. That's the lasting image again. It's very hard to give a guy a record-breaking deal when your lasting image was a horrific game. And I understand what the defense did. I get it. I think if the defense even played good or better, I don't know what happens. I mean, he was drowning. The 32 points, garbage time touchdowns, garbage time yards. He could have had like 9 interceptions in this game. I'm not fucking kidding you, right? Detroit, he wasn't a world beater against Detroit. 26 for 38, 345 yards, 68.4 completion percentage, 2 touchdowns and an interception. As the game went on, he started to struggle at the end. Detroit took over that game. We squeaked out. Miami, he lost 22-20. So he averages around like 20 points like against these playoff teams, right? Buffalo, 31-10 loss. Blamed it on stomach bugs and the cold weather, right? San Francisco, humiliating, 42-10 loss. Come on, bro. Come on. Let's stop fucking kidding. In his career, he has 17 wins and 32 losses against qualifying playoff teams. 11,000 passing yards, 82 touchdowns, 47 interceptions against qualifying playoff teams. That is his career numbers. Quit it. There is a level of performance that Dak plays at if you're not a playoff team, and there's a level way below that he plays at if you're a playoff team. Doesn't matter how good he is. How good the team is. That is what he is. You cannot tell me it is illogical to say that I don't want to pay him $60 million and that although I understand that it may delay the Super Bowl pursuit a year, shit, it's been fucking 28 years. My entire life they haven't won a Super Bowl. What's one more year if going towards the route of a rookie or something different provides us the opportunity to finally fill the defensive holes in the interior defensive line. Finally get an actual complete defensive line. Don't give a fuck what PFF says. What PFF does is they grade you off your best players, not your worst players. They don't grade the depth, they grade the best. And at the best, Micah Parsons and Tank Lawrence are fucking elite. But there's the depth behind them is a concern. And we haven't had interior depth in fucking 15 years. Sorry for all my F words, but it is what it is. You can't give this guy $60 million a year when just last year he's 3-5 against playoff teams. Philly fucking sucks. Sorry to tell you. Philly was one of the worst playoff teams. That's one of your wins. Detroit, you got lucky that Dan Campbell is a dumbass. That Dan Campbell gambles too much. He gambles too much. I get it. It's cool. Fans like it. He gambles too much. He went for it 4 straight times. God was trying to tell Dan Campbell to stop going for it. Here's another chance. Don't go for it. Here's another chance. Don't go for it. His dumbass kept going for it. That's why we won the game. But stop acting like there was a humiliating performance against the NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. What we are compared to the San Francisco 49ers is this. 42-10 loss. Where's the screen isn't coming up? 42-10 loss. That's what we are against the San Francisco 49ers. Stop playing yourselves. Sorry, it didn't come up on the screen, but 42-10. Dak Prescott, 14 of 24 for 153 yards and a touchdown, man. Let's get into CeeDee Lamb. It was time yesterday and last week to pay CeeDee Lamb his money. There's no question what he wants. 32 a year or more. Nothing more or less. Nothing less than that. He wants to be the highest paid or second highest paid player at the position of all time and in the league currently. And he deserves it. I've said over and over and over and over again, I think that CeeDee Lamb is the best wide receiver in the world today. This isn't coming up. That's frustrating. It's all good. I got his game log up. You don't need to see it. I'll read it off to you. CeeDee Lamb, after that 49er game, went berserk. Leading up to that 49er game, he was getting about 4 catches a game for around 50 yards a game, and he had 1 touchdown. in the first 5 combined games. He goes, he complains to front office, to the coaching staff, whatever it was, to Dak. He starts getting force-fed the way he needs to be because you can use him in so many different ways. He can line up outside. He can line up inside. He can line up in the backfield. He can return punts, kicks. He can do the whole thing. Like I said, he's Booby Miles. He can do it all. He starts getting force-fed, and then for the rest of the season, it's 7 receptions, 117 yards, 12 receptions, 158 yards, 11 receptions, 191 yards, 11 receptions, 151 yards. That's when he broke that 3-game record right there, franchise record. Broke every fucking franchise record there was except for touchdowns. Don't be surprised if he breaks that this year, right? So reports are out that CeeDee Lamb's going to hold out if he doesn't get his deal. It's looking to me like if I had my guess, just my gut feeling, is we're going to experience a CeeDee Lamb holdout. I don't know if the reports of him demanding a trade if he doesn't get a contract before the camp is true. I believe they could be true. I do not want that to happen, and yet I'm going to tell you right now, CeeDee Lamb's not getting traded. I don't think he's getting traded. I don't want him to get traded. Even if he demands a trade, I don't think he's getting traded. I do think we're going to get this deal done. Now, let's talk about the organization, their approach to this, how we consistently run into this with our star players. Do I like it? Absolutely the fuck not. Do I think it's organizational incompetence? I don't know. I don't know. I would like to believe it's not. I would like to believe that they are not just flat out incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. They're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs, playing tiddly dicks around the star, whatever it is. I don't think it's that. I do think they want to sign CeeDee Lamb. Could it be something else? Could it be this Dak Prescott situation? Because let me tell you something. If we go in to training camp and Dak Prescott doesn't have CeeDee Lamb, and he has Brandon Cooks, Ferguson, and whatever else list of receivers, Turpin, the guys we drafted, undrafted guys, what have you, man, the offense is going to get their ass whooped. Let me tell you the truth. Micah Parsons is going up against a rookie tackle in training camp, and Tyler Guyton, who I think the rest of the fan base, or most of it, has really high expectations, not only this year, but throughout his career of what he can be as a left tackle for the Dallas Cowboys, replacing the great Tyron Smith. Right? But it's going to be baptizing by fire, man. And you already know Micah Parsons already tortures everybody at the start of every training camp. DeMarcus Lawrence and the rest of them boys. But just imagine that. No CeeDee Lamb, your best offensive weapon, best offensive player outside your quarterback, right? And your Zach Martin and shit, right? Best offensive weapon by far. First team All-Pro receiver, he's not going to be in camp. The holdout's going to work for CeeDee Lamb. A week after that, or less than, it'll probably be 2-3 practices before you hear CeeDee Lamb's the highest paid receiver in the NFL, maybe of all time, right? So, from CeeDee's camp, that holdout's like, yeah, obviously, dumbass, we're going to hold out, you're going to look stupid, we're going to get paid. But are the Cowboys going to use that as leverage? Do you guys remember 2018 when we moved on from Dez Bryant? We didn't have Amari Cooper yet. It was a bunch of misfits in that training camp. Dak Prescott, the offense, the weapons, they looked bad all along training camp. Let me see if this is up yet. It's not. We go into the season, man. We start like 3-5. We open up. We beat the Giants. No, we lose to Carolina. We beat the Giants. We lose to Seattle. We beat Detroit. We lose to the Texans. We beat Jacksonville, and we lose to Washington. We're like 3-4, 3-5. We make the Amari Cooper trade. We lose to Tennessee. And then we go off on a run. We win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the last 9 games of the regular season. 8 of the next 9 games. One was a playoff game against Seattle, and then we lost that playoff game to the Rams. Dak Prescott, man, was not good before that Amari Cooper trade. I always point to something that doesn't get talked about enough, and it's the fact that that Amari Cooper saved Dak Prescott's career as a Dallas Cowboy. You want to know why he didn't get paid early? It was because the struggles showing in late 2017 when Zeke got hurt didn't get hurt. He got suspended. We missed the playoffs because of it. You took that crutch that he had on Zeke Elliott for the run game, and that was when his glaring stat of his record with 100 yards rushing or without 100 yards rushing, like he had never won a game without 100 yards rushing, started to really, really struggle. We missed the playoffs, is what it is. Going to 2018, we have Zeke back. We're expecting to have a great year, man. We're just win, lose, back and forth. Dak Prescott, up and down, up and down. I mean, listen to this. Completion percentage of 65, 64, 55, 63, 62, 63, 62. Amari Cooper trade happens, it goes 67, 72, 68, 71, 85.7. That Saints game in 2018 had to be one of the best of his career, no? 77, 61, 80, 61, 66, 62. Right, so he went from just hovering around 60 to 50-something% completion percentage to being a much better quarterback, proving himself, going and having another good year, getting the contract he got going to that 2020 season, right? The Amari Cooper trade saved him. Could the Dallas Cowboys be saying to themselves in the organization, let's see what Dak looks like with this rookie tackle, rookie center, or Brock Hoffman without CeeDee Lamb in training camp? And if it's an absolute disaster, which everybody knows it's going to be, and not necessarily just because of Dak, like, is it fair? Yeah, fair's got nothing to do with it. No, it's not fair. It's not fair at all. He's going to look bad, and the Cowboys are going to sign CeeDee Lamb. It's going to get better immediately. He's going to come back. Dak will have a great year, barring injury. And the Dallas Cowboys you're going to hear the Jones family harp over time and time again. And I think it's, if you're looking at moving on from him, not a bad approach. I'm not saying it's the greatest ever, but you are where you're at. The Cowboys do not want to marry Dak Prescott. They've been engaged for 10 years. They don't want to marry him. I know they already gave him a contract. They do not want to marry him. The writing is all on the wall, just like it is in Miami and Tua Tagovailoa. They believe that there's better out there. I believe that there's a part of them that saw Jordan Love have the game he did, get hot the way he did. I mean, Green Bay could have made the Super Bowl. San Francisco could have lost to Green Bay and Detroit, if we're being realistic. Both of those teams threw those games away just as much as San Francisco won those games. Jordan Love was playing very good football at the end of the year. I think if Mike McCarthy had his choice, he would take Jordan Love over Dak Prescott. I think there's a lot of guys that are. And I'm not talking about proven resume and the shit that Cam Newton was talking about. I get that. I get it, and I get the argument with that. But you remove CeeDee Lamb, you remove that crutch. We don't have a proven running game. We don't even know who's going to be the starting running back when it's all said and done. It's going to probably be running back by committee. You got young offensive line. You're going to hear a lot of Jerry Jones and them talking about the difference in what the offense looked like before CeeDee Lamb came back and after CeeDee Lamb came back, and how it's so important for us to pay these stars like CeeDee, like Trayvon Diggs, maybe Deron Bland, obviously Micah Parsons, and others amongst the team in order for Dak and the whole team to succeed. And I think that that's the approach that the Cowboys are trying to set themselves up to go down as we go into this last year, what I believe will be the last year of Dak Prescott in a Dallas Cowboys uniform, barring NFC Championship or Super Bowl. And they're just setting themselves to position themselves to have leverage, whereas right now everybody believes that Dak Prescott carries all the leverage, and he carries quite a bit. But you remove that crutch, who's paying him $60 million a year? And I think that's where they're at. And I also just think that, as far as CeeDee Lamb is concerned, I'm trading Micah Parsons or anybody else before I trade CeeDee Lamb. And that's crazy to say. I usually am definitely pass rusher, offensive lineman, quarterback over receiver. I think receivers are very replaceable more often than they are not. These guys fall off trees. More people play receiver than they play any other positions. People aren't playing running back. They're playing receiver now. You can find and replace receivers. But CeeDee Lamb is young, 25 years old. He is very durable. He's the best receiver in the world. He's so reliable. You can count on him to do so many other things. He is just obviously signed CeeDee Lamb. He doesn't cause any problems. He's cooler than a mint, like I always say. Sign CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is the most obvious thing to do. The only thing I think is going on is this potentially positioning themselves to send him into training camp, let the offense just look like an absolute destructive mess without him or elite weapons surrounding Dak Prescott, with a hungry defensive line coming out a bunch of new faces, new guys in the league. CD gets his money, gets paid the way he wants to, because he's going to anyways, right? CD's going to get paid. Let's not fool ourselves. They have to pay CeeDee Lamb. They have to. So, it's interesting. I'm just interested to see if that is really what they're going at with this situation. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on the CeeDee Lamb situation. He had a little dust up with Cole Beasley. I don't know if you guys saw that. What the fuck is Cole Beasley still, dude? I always see, and I'm about to wrap up the show. We're about 50 minutes. Tomorrow's show is going to be loaded, a college football show, absolutely loaded college football show. I feel like there's just a lot more to talk about in the off seasons of college football than there is NFL. I got to talk about the white party and shit like that. But anyhow, it's going to be a loaded show tomorrow. But Cole Beasley, it's every single week or at least once a month, Cole Beasley has some dust up with an NFL player. Like, what the fuck is his deal? CeeDee Lamb posted a training video where he's running routes and stuff, and Cole Beasley was like, oh, why don't you just do squats or something, like suggesting what he should do. Let me tell you something, Cole Beasley. CeeDee Lamb in his 4-year NFL career has damn near surpassed everything he ever did. I understand there was like a 3 to 4 year stretch where Cole Beasley was legitimately one of the biggest matchup issues in the entire NFL. All right? Was never one of the best receivers in the NFL. Never the best receiver in the NFL. You got an inflated fucking ego, dude. And what you did is amazing. You're like a 5'6" guy that carved out, a 5'8" football player that carved out a good, solid NFL career, man. Well, like I said, at one point you were a Pro Bowler. You were a guy that gave people matchup hell because your size and route running ability. I understand that. CeeDee Lamb, at his size and strength, can do everything you did. He's just as big, probably a better matchup issue in the slot, man. Like, why are you tweeting CeeDee Lamb? You are punching up, literally and figuratively. Don't fucking attack the best receiver in the world. Sit at home because you sound bitter, dude. And I'm not like, you sound just like fucking bitter. Let me see. Let me see if I can find that tweet. It's great podcasting. Let me just see what he said. Here it is. Still not pulling up for you. Anyways, CeeDee Lamb was working out like kettlebells and shit. And he says, man, just do some heavy squats and power cleans. ... Dude, CeeDee Lamb does not need advice from Cole Beasley. Right? Then Cole Beasley quoted another guy's post and said, give me 180 targets off the couch and I eclipse 1,000. Stop looking at stacks and check the tape. As far as getting open goes, I'm confident I did that with the best of them. CeeDee Lamb quotes his post and says, I don't need 180 targets to touch a band. Pull up tape. I'd match you route for route on getting open. Just chill. And that's as nice as you could possibly be about it. Like, first and foremost, CeeDee's just like, why are you talking about me, bro? And you don't want to pull up tape and compare CeeDee Lamb to Cole Beasley. Give it a fucking rest. I understand, Cole Beasley, that linebackers couldn't cover you for 2 or 3 years. I get it. You don't want to pull up tape for tape with CeeDee Lamb, and your ego's inflated if you think that's the case. But anyhow, man, we're a few weeks away from training camp. I can't fucking wait. I love football so much. It's Lombardi number 6 on the SJ Show. Remember that. We are a Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl away from never having a problem again. Believe in it. Trust it. It's going to happen. The Cowboys organization, I want to remind you before I let go, hasn't had back-to-back losing seasons since 2002. The Cowboys organization has won more games than every single team in this league since Mike McCarthy took over, other than the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay? Cowboys are very, very good. They're consistent. They are not poorly ran. I'm not saying they do everything right. There's shit they need to improve on. They might be headed in that direction. And part of that may mean that you have to take a step backwards before you take a step forwards. That may mean that we have some dead money to eat because of Dak Prescott walks next year. That may mean we run into a situation where we got to draft and find our next quarterback this year because Trey Lance doesn't work out and we're letting Dak walk and every quarterback on our roster may be gone next year. But what I will tell you is we're going to continue to draft very well, knock on wood. We've done so for long enough to trust in that. We're going to continue to run a very good competitive organization as we've done for the last 20 years. Okay, there was a stretch where Jerry Jones was completely fucking incompetent after Jimmy Johnson. That stretch is over. We have good coaching. We have a good coaching staff on both sides of the football. We have a roster that most teams in the NFL would trade for. I think we got the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl this year. We're constantly in the top 6, top 5 of Super Bowl odds going into every single season for a reason. We're a very good team. We're going to continue to get better. I like the direction that the defense is going to go in under Mike Zimmer. Hope he stays around for a long time. I hope we figure out all our contract situations. I believe we will. CeeDee Lamb will get paid. We'll see what happens with Dak Prescott. I hope he has another MVP type season. And I hope, but whatever you want to believe or not, I hope Dak takes a step that he has not taken before when playing playoff and elite teams in the NFL. I hope he will. I believe that he can. I hope he does it. But if he does not, it's time to move on because we haven't won a Super Bowl in 27 or 28 years. We're creeping up on 30, man, and I'm ready to do so. All right? But it's not all doom and gloom in Dallas at the Star. We got football right around the corner. It's the greatest time of the fucking year right around the corner. Let's hold on. Tomorrow's show is going to be the college football show. Lots of exciting stuff to talk about, man. I love y'all more than you know. Not as much as y'all think. As I always say, everybody have a blessed day. See you later.